data roaming kind of fucked up my video, so I've got to start this section over. It keeps clicking back on, and it's T-Mobile. I don't know. This is another thing that I'll talk about later too. Is my experience with T-Mobile needing to keep a U.S. phone for work reasons. Um, so to continue that, if people get upset or emotional, kind of depends on what they're going to say. But the less emotionally charged you are about your decision when you share it with them, the less fuel you give them. And that may be helpful to know when it's somebody who is on the more like they're you don't think they're going to really be supportive, but you think they're going to need to know. Like, somebody who's, I don't know, like they're always kind of trying to control your life or be toxic or narcissistic or things like that. That's a little bit different, but I would say if be solid in your decision when you're sure. Um, Once you know what you're going to do, commit to it, um, and give yourself a timeline. And if you plan on still working, um, I'll get into this later, but if you plan on still working, make sure you line up remote work before you leave, or be self-employed. Um, but the friends will and family will have questions about stuff, and one of the things I think is some people they hinge a little too much on what their families want. And if you're tight knit, I guess I try to say I understand. My family is we respect each other and love each other, but I wouldn't say we're sort of like hot and cold. I know that like I pick up the phone with my brother or sister, and we'll just pick up where we left off. We don't always agree, but like it's all just kind of water under the bridge. And I'm really lucky that way to have siblings in my life who are like that. Not all of my siblings are like that, but I'm not particularly close with them, so I don't know really what the relationship would be like. But it's just dynamics, generational, and geography, frankly, and maybe some energy too, or just like a little too different. Um, but I have a couple siblings that I know that I can always pick up the phone, even whether it's been a few weeks or a few months, and we will have a good conversation. I know we always will. And so that's kind of cool, and I'm very lucky to have that. I know not everyone does. Um, I'm the youngest, so they have that little protectiveness, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna be okay," and they get a little like that. They want to make sure I'm okay, and that my husband and I are, you need anything, you're gonna be all right, and and but everyone was cool with it, really, for us. Um, Everyone was excited for us. We had like a couple people that that handled it. They were a little emotional. One who handled it badly, um, but um, that was actually kind of it. We did it's just it was something that was already kind of rocky anyway, so it just kind of cemented what was already there, or wasn't there rather, I guess. So that's unfortunate, but on the other hand, we were really convicted in our decision, and we feel good about it. And our people important to us in our lives supported it. And I think that's really what people should try to focus on. I mean, if you've got kids, obviously, if you've got children at home, that's obviously a big thing to consider. I mean, there's a lot more moving parts, right? So you got to think about schools and just all that kind of thing. What are you going to do? Are you a homeschooler? Are you going to be looking for schools locally? There are resources, and in many, many cities that have some foreigners, there's Facebook groups for that. And pretty much like type in the word expat and type in the city, and there's probably some kind of contingent for it. And but some cities, there's have relatively few foreigners in it, and you know, to that it's a totally different topic. But getting back to Mexico, that'd be some things to consider. But if you have a more complex kind of home environment like that, where you have to consider selling a house and what do the kids do, and how you're going to travel with pets, if you got pets, if you got a farm, I mean, there's all kinds of things like that where people, they navigate it, they figure it out, and there are resources and people who have already done it. You just gotta, it takes a lot of research, a lot of, I would say, you know, a lot of research, and then as you're trying to share information with your family members or friends or people who are gonna, the ones who you're gonna prioritize telling the news to, share your findings as you go. The sooner you tell them, the better, of course, because then they can get used to the idea. Um, but and also because like it's gonna take some, the planning takes a while, the logistics take a while. Um, so that's pretty much my recommendations as far as, you know, friendships and relationships, as far as the decision to move. The other part of it, how do you maintain relationships once you've moved? Well, that's part of what this channel is going to be about. So if you're interested in you know, subscribing, checking out, you know, how we do navigate friendships and relationships on this channel, um, feel free to subscribe. And if you like what you hear, if you have some suggestions and ideas, that would be great. I'm working on staring at the camera, so I apologize if I keep looking at myself and checking for food in my teeth and things like that. So anyway, once you're here, I mean, I can't really speak to that yet because we've been here for 6 months. I've been hot and cold. I've been doing okay talking to my siblings, probably once a month, I think. We're actually talking more than we have historically, but part of this is because we're all navigating uh, we're all navigating the loss of our mom, and she was often the person that we kind of got lazy. We'd be like, well, they're, those all of them live close by each other and sort of like know how each other's doing, and so I was the one living far away, and so they would just go, well, how's Keiko doing? And you know, once or twice a year they'd call me or I'd call them, and that would be kind of it, and we'd be fine with it, you know. We'd be like, oh, we should try to talk more, and then time would just pass, you know. We didn't mean to do that, but that's just the way we've always navigated. But you know, as we get older, we're discovering, you know, like, wow, we really have a lot more in common than I realized. Even though we're not around each other to influence each other, we realize like how we navigate life. A lot of things are like kind of scary, like, wow, we're not even around each other and we're still like kind of locked in a bit more than I thought we would be, despite having different, you know, different ways of, you know, moving about. And I'd say I could do better. Um, I think they reach out, I think, about monthly. Um, one reaches out a little bit more often, and sometimes I'm just, you know, I'm in the middle of something, but it's not that I'm like super busy, but just because of my whole ADD thing, it's just like there's times where I'm ready for it, and there's times I really want to give them time. And same thing is one reason why when I do say I'm going to call somebody, because I'm pretty long-winded, and we're all in our family. Once it's kind of a not generational. It's a family thing. Our maternal side of the family. They're big talkers, long-winded people, folks that can spin yarns and talk back and forth and change topics and interrupt each other and just kind of go and go and go all afternoon, evening, you know, that kind of thing. And just kind of hang, you know, enjoy each other's space and talk shit. So with that in mind, though, that's why, like, when I do say, I think I'm finally ready to call somebody, I give them a heads up. And there's a long-standing joke in the family now with the remaining family members. So they joke about like making an appointment with me, because they know it's going to be like, okay, get ready, we're going to have a talk with Keiko now. So make sure you got, you know, I'm actually not that bad all the time, but you know, if given the opportunity and there's neither of us have anything going on, it could turn into well over an hour, 2-hour conversation. But now here's the other thing, is that because of being abroad now, I'm trying to be more mindful of that, and it's a good practice for me anyway because of this channel, and also because of money. We don't really want to be navigating on the phone all the time like that. And hey, there's Facebook Messenger, and so learning to use tools like that. That's a way to communicate with people, is find ways that are just using your house Wi-Fi. So you're not gobbling up minutes on your roaming plan or whatever it is if you're going to just visit. But I would say whatever country you're going to navigate to, um, either use a phone with a dual SIM card and get one for, keep your US phone number if you need it, and get one local. Or if your phone, or an eSIM for the foreign um, uh, phone. And that, I think you can get a phone number with that as well for some things. But anyway, those are ways to stay in touch. And staying in touch like that, pick a few people, don't overcommit, I think is just better. And just say, less is more, doing small touches with people once a month or once every couple of months. And or use a person and make a person, if you got a big family with a lot of living family members, they're all like super tight knit, I would say go ahead and just like ask somebody, hey, I'm going to try to touch base with these people, but it's a lot to navigate. Could you be kind of the point person and then just kind of relay word about how we're doing? Another way would be emails. You want to send out a email blast, or I want to say even a newsletter, have a little fun with it. Just ways to kind of update people every few months or something on what's going on. Those are just different ways to reach out. You reach out seasonally. Here's fall. Here's what we've been up to, and here's what we've been doing, and just whatever. These are just different ideas. So I was thinking that would be. Those are some things that we're learning right now. We talk with my sister-in-law weekly because there's some family things going on where that was necessary, and now we're kind of toward the end of that, but the tradition's carrying on because it's a little more diffused. The family situation's a little more diffused, but it's still ongoing enough where it's good to check in with each other because it's kind of created a kind of a sensitive headspace for everybody, kind of navigating this family situation. So that's why we stay in touch and just kind of make sure everything's kind of okay. And we did that. Luckily, I don't want to say luckily, but getting to Minneapolis was really important, and spending a full year there before we left, even though there was a lot of rough shit before we moved here, because it was meant to be to spend a year mostly for all my family and see some old friends again. But it was also because of my mom, who was getting on in age and not doing terribly well. Been in the hospital a bit, still lucid though and everything. And I wasn't expecting, less than 2 months after arriving, that she'd be gone. It just, and here's the bell. Kind of appropriate timing, I guess, right? So, wow, that's kind of intense, right? So anyway, she supported it, of course. Like I said, she was cool and was just really happy that I came back, and was just like, she initially was just like, oh, don't come back for me. Don't come back, because I'm like, Mom, that's stupid. Of course I'm going to come back. But then it turns out, that our time was really, really limited. But I was able to connect with some people and see some cousins I hadn't seen in forever. And that's the way, and that's, how we get like friendships and relationships, right? Unfortunately, sometimes there's people that we see in our lives, we care about them, we want to know how they're doing and stuff. And Facebook might be the best thing in some ways. It's also so horrible. Social media can be so horrible. But as a tool for just knowing how family members are they okay? Just checking in, seeing how you're doing, what's up. Really low level commitment, just to know they're moving, navigating, putting one foot in front of the other, that kind of thing. Just even that much can be all the difference, to just kind of know a person's all right. For those who aren't on social media, it takes a little bit more work. I run hot and cold on that, so people have gotten used to that. I don't know if they don't like it so much, but I try. I do try when I remember. My brain's always going, so I racked up another bit of time, so I got a bit of editing to do. So anyway, I think this is enough of a complex subject where we'll kind of cover friendships and relationships as things go along. So if you're watching this and you've already done a move, whether it's to another town, another state, another part of the country, another part of the world. How did you navigate friendships and family? What happened? I mean, were you able to navigate all that okay and kind of keep your connections? Did you lose some connections along the way? Did you just drift apart? Um, did or is everything just kind of like mostly as it was, but you're just in touch from halfway around the world or wherever you're located? Put some comments below, and if this is kind of topic interests you, I'll do more in-depth, more deep dives on how communications and friendships and relationships, that type of thing, information and insights on that, how that goes. If you like this content, do me a favor and hit the like button, and I'll be posting next. Comment is going to be next. My next video is going to be covering heavy metal in Mexico, and covering heavy metal in the global South. So some of the observations include stuff like what I've noticed locally. In terms of like Metalhead community or anything like that. It's difficult to tell at this point because we haven't been here that long and we haven't been going out all that much, but I will share my early thoughts and my thoughts as we go along on this channel. So if that topic interests you, also put some comments below, and we'll see you on the next one, and I'll cover all things heavy metal. Bye.